When you're setting up a new workshop, the costs quickly go up and up, and we're looking at spending in the region of £30,000 now on finance, debt finance, to cover the equipment we want to get, the 3 months down payment on the rent, to cover a month that will be unproductive with all the costs going out while we set the space up, and other odds and ends that keep adding up that we haven't thought of. Actually, that 30 grand is conservative. So everything we invest in, we want to be getting the best deal we can get. So with that in mind, we're looking at the racking, the board racking we're going to get. We need some proper racking because we've now got the board lifter. So we want to be able to sort of put boards stacked up on different level racks, and know that the forklift will go in and everything, and know that obviously they are going to be strong enough and safe enough. And sometime back when I started looking into this, I got a guy from, I think it's called Metalux or Mechalux, came over, and it was sort of thousands of pounds for the racking that he recommended, and I thought surely there's another option. So I then discovered this place not too far from me. It's John Burley's. The number and details are on this wagon here. They're in Swinton in Yorkshire, and what they do is they sell second-hand used racking of this sort and a few other sorts. And I've just had a quote put together. It would be pretty much I think it's these ones. These might even be slightly longer, but 140mm high beams, 3.3 metre long. The other option was 2.7 metres, but I thought I'd go for 3.3 metre because we sometimes get in 3 metre long boards, and even for most of the boards that are 8 foot long or 40mm, if I've got a 3.3 metre rack, then I've got a bit of space next to it where I could put offcuts of the same type of board. So I thought let's just go ahead and get a big rack because it will just about fit where we plan to put it. So he's told me that they can deliver that. The pricing on that is for the sides, which are 1100 metre wide, and we would get 3 metre tall, sorry, 1100mm wide, 3 metre tall. A pair of those sides would be 35. Sorry, one of those sides would be £35. A pair would be £70. A pair of the beams at 3.3 metres would be £35 for the pair, and we've decided we need 5 pairs of beams for the sort of spacing, like about a foot spacing with a bit of tolerance in between each beam, and then allowing for the thickness of the beam and allowing for the maximum reach of our board lifter, which is maybe 2.4 metres. We're actually only going to fit 4 levels in, but we're going to put a 5th level in just for manually storing stuff up high. So that whole quote has come to £245, which is pretty good value. It would be more than double that, maybe 3 times or more, for new racking of the same sort. We're then looking at possibly getting the workbenches from here. Now, as a woodworker, the obvious step to take when you're setting up a space with new workbenches is you're just buying a load of CLS timber and you start knocking up frames and make benches. But those that have done that before will know that it's very easy to end up with something that it maybe very slightly sags, or you've got lots of supportive posts to keep it flat and rigid, and then that space underneath is less usable. So if you go for a metal bench, you can have a bigger span and it's all more rigid and heavy. And so a bench like this, using the 3.3 metre long beams, and they cut down the end bits and fit new feet and stuff like that. That bench is going to be £350. Now, obviously, I was talking about saving money earlier. It's going to be cheaper for me to make something out of CLS, but then again, I really ought to be charging my time out at about £350 per day for my installation labour. So if I can just have someone else make this, deliver it, and I know it's rigid, then there is a saving to that if we just get set up quicker. Now, something that's also appealing about this is the new workshop space. All along that long wall, there's an insulated wall which does only have plasterboard on it, over thin metal stud work, so it's not very suitable for hanging tools or racking off. So this just brought in freestanding against the wall, already with a rigid back which you could hang your tools on, and we could sort of have all the tools we need for a certain task, and they could be outlined so you know where they go back. This just has a lot of advantages ready to go. So 350 for one of them, 250 if it's a bit shorter at 2.7 meters. So that's maybe more sensible. And they're saying they only need 7 to 10 days notice to just knock those up, and they'll deliver them as well. Then the other option is there's not an example here, but a workbench, just a simple flat top workbench, again made out of the racking material. They can weld it if we want that extra rigidity. This is an example here. This is actually using a slightly lighter duty racking. But he says, say if I wanted a nice solid workbench at 8 foot by 4 foot-ish, then we'd be looking at about £220. And if you wanted that to be on wheels, which they do also do, it's just another £40 to have the wheels added on, which I think is all pretty good value. So if anyone watching this is interested, then do look up John Burley's in Swinton, and I'll show you a couple close-ups just so you get a bit more of a feel for it. I think it's 38mm chipboard that they use as standard, but they could supply it without. And what I might do is I might double up maybe some 18mm MDF with an 18mm perhaps birch plywood top, which I might then put dog holes through or something like that, because I wouldn't really want to be having dog holes in chipboard because it's going to be too soft and break up too easily. So yeah, you can see how it's all just assembled using this quick slot-in racking system. The benches, they do deliver assembled, but they would have to be unloaded with a forklift. The racking, they deliver in the parts, and he says two men can erect one of the sort that we're looking at. Can erect one of the sort we're looking at. Said because you put your upright up, and then you slot in at the bottom notch, you slot in one of your horizontals, and then between two people you can manage to then put the next upright slotted into the other end of that horizontal, and then it holds itself square. You actually don't need any diagonal bracing along the back, because the nature of the joint is sort of there's none right here, but the height of that joint piece on the orange thing, when it slots down, that gives it a lot of rigidity. So you just start putting in all your horizontals. So he says his guys can get a rack like the one we're looking for erected in 20 minutes. So that's another consideration really when we're looking at the cost, that if we can just get a solution that gets delivered, that we can put together in really quick time, then that is a saving, because we move in, we get up and running nice and quick. Even if we're spending a bit more on the materials, just trying to show the thing there, even if we're just spending a bit more on materials to do that, rather than messing around with CLS, then there's a few advantages. So I'll leave it at that. I'm going to head back to the workshop now. I've just picked up some oak boards from a supplier, Optimum Timber Supplies, which just happens to be around the corner from here, so that's why I stopped off here again. But yeah, quick update. I'll continue to post updates as we organise the move into the workshop. All comments welcome. Thanks for watching.